Good morning, this is TVP World. You're watching World News. I'm your host Benjamin Lee, and these are the latest headlines. The US-Israeli war on Iran continues to reverberate across the region. Israel's military carried out another wave of strikes in Lebanon, hitting areas near Beirut and the Bekaa Valley close to the Syrian border. Hezbollah says it carried out attacks early Friday, targeting Israeli ground forces in Lebanon, as well as the Havana naval base and a military site in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. Explosions were also reported overnight in Tehran, with local media saying residential areas and locations near Tehran University were hit. A spokesperson for Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said the country is preparing for a prolonged conflict and plans to introduce new advanced weapons. Explosions were also reported in Kuwait, while Qatar's defense ministry said its air defense system intercepted drones targeting the Al Udeid airbase in Doha. President Donald Trump said on Thursday that the United States would target Cuba after the war with Iran ends. He added that Havana is eager to make a deal with Washington and said the situation in Venezuela has stabilized, praising President Delcy Rodríguez for cooperating with the United States.
But what's happening with Cuba is amazing, and we think that we want to finish this one first, but that will be just a question of time before you and a lot of unbelievable people are going to be going back to Cuba, hopefully not to stay. We want you back, and we don't want to lose you. Venezuela is going great. It's been stabilized. We have a wonderful person as your president-elect, Delcy Rodríguez, and she and her staff have been doing a fantastic job working with us. We're taking out hundreds of millions of barrels of oil, and it's going to Houston and various other places where it's being refined, and we're sending them back far more money than they've made in many years, and actually very shortly it'll be more money than they've ever made. I wanted to wait a couple of weeks, but we'll be together again soon, I suspect, celebrating what's going on in Cuba. They want to make a deal so badly, you have no idea.
U.S. Central Command Chief Admiral Brad Cooper announced on Thursday that American forces are working to destroy Iran's ability to rebuild its military capabilities. He added that the United States had intensified strikes against the Iranian Navy and ballistic missile launchers.
The last 72 hours, America's bomber force has struck nearly 200 targets deep inside of Iran, including around Tehran. And in just the last hour, U.S. B-2 bombers dropped dozens of 2,000-pound penetrator bombs targeting deeply buried ballistic missile launchers. Notably, we've also struck Iran's equivalent of Space Command, which degrades their ability to threaten Americans. Our strikes against the Iranian Navy have intensified. You may have heard the president say just a little while ago that we have sunk or destroyed 24 ships. That was true at the moment. We're now up over 30 ships. And in just the last few hours, we hit an Iranian drone carrier ship, roughly the size of a World War II aircraft carrier, and as we speak, it's on fire. The president gave us another task, to raise or level Iran's ballistic missile industrial base. So we're not just hitting what they have, we're destroying their ability to rebuild.
The U.S. Treasury has issued a 30-day sanctions waiver for Russian oil shipments already heading to India. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the decision is meant to support global oil supply.
To enable oil to keep flowing into the global market, the Treasury Department is issuing a temporary 30-day waiver to allow Indian refiners to purchase Russian oil. This deliberately short-term measure will not provide significant financial benefit to the Russian government, as it only authorizes transactions involving oil already stranded at sea. India is an essential partner of the United States, and we fully anticipate that New Delhi will ramp up purchases of US oil. This stopgap measure will alleviate pressure caused by Iran's attempt to take global energy hostage.
Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said on Thursday that Israeli leadership had decided as early as late last year to eliminate the Khamenei regime. According to Katz, the plan was carried out sooner than expected because Iran was preparing an attack on Israel. Critics note that Israel has long viewed Iran as a major security threat.
In November, we sat with the Prime Minister in a very small forum, and the Prime Minister set the goal to eliminate the Khamenei regime. And in consultation with the IDF and Mossad, the target was ultimately set for the middle of the current year, meaning May or June, to carry this out. But there was also a serious concern at that time that, as a result of the regime's pressure due to the riots, Iran would launch a preemptive strike against the State of Israel and against American forces in the region. They had organized plans, which we monitored and knew about. It became clear that there was a need to advance the operation. The goal is, first of all, to prevent Iran from regaining the capability to return to its nuclear program, to prevent Iran from regaining the capability to resume mass production of ballistic missiles, and to create the conditions for the Iranian people to bring down this regime.
The first group of Polish citizens evacuated from the Middle East arrived in Poland early Friday, according to the Armed Forces Operational Command. A Polish Air Force Boeing 737 transported 109 people to safety. The evacuation began on Thursday when passengers traveled by bus from Dubai in the United Arab Emirates to Muscat in Oman. From there, they boarded 2 Polish Air Force aircraft. The evacuees arrived in Warsaw shortly after 3 a.m. on Friday. The operation was coordinated by the Polish Armed Forces together with the National Security Bureau, the Prime Minister's Office, Foreign Ministry, and the Ministry of Defense. Authorities say the situation in the region is being closely monitored, and the military remains ready to carry out further evacuations if needed. Polish officials commented on the first evacuation of citizens, with more than 100 people arriving safely in Warsaw. Government representatives say the operation prioritized the most vulnerable as authorities continue efforts to bring more Polish nationals home.
The evacuation operation is behind us. 109 passengers from the United Arab Emirates who travelled safely to Oman are now in Poland. Those who needed it were, of course, provided with help. The repatriation operation is ongoing, and that is the most important thing. The Polish army is also on standby. These are elderly individuals, but there were also people with infants. For example, there were people in wheelchairs, people with illnesses, such as very advanced diabetes, who had to leave the territory as soon as possible, because it is better to be under medical supervision here at home. So it was a big challenge for our consular service to select the 109 people who have now safely returned home.
Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andrzej Bekaa says Hungary has detained 7 employees of Ukraine's state savings bank. This comes amid tensions between Kyiv and Budapest over the Druzhba pipeline, which carries Russian oil to Hungarian refineries. For the latest, we go live to our correspondent, Andrew Sweeney. Andrew, so what's the latest?
Well, late last night, around about midnight local time, we got an announcement from the Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andrzej Bekaa saying that 7 employees of Oshad Bank, Ukraine's state bank, had been seized in Hungary. Their whereabouts are currently unknown. They were reportedly carrying up to 70 or 80 million euros in cash and 9 kilograms of gold from the Ukrainian reserves in Austria, and were taking it to Ukraine. Let's have a listen to what Andrzej Bekaa said in more detail.
Today in Budapest, Hungarian authorities took 7 Ukrainian citizens hostage. The reasons are still unknown, as well as their current well-being or the possibility of contacting them. These 7 Ukrainians are employees of state-owned Oshad Bank, who were operating 2 bank cars transiting between Austria and Ukraine and carrying cash as part of regular services between state banks. This is state terrorism and racketeering. We have already sent an official note demanding an immediate release of our citizens. We will also address the European Union with the request to provide a clear qualification of Hungary's unlawful actions, hostage-taking and robbery.
Reporters are often fond of saying that events are unprecedented, and this is certainly one of those situations. This has obviously come during this considerable diplomatic tension between Ukraine and Hungary over the Druzhba pipeline. Yesterday, Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, said that he would use force to ensure the supply of Russian oil was restored. After that, President Zelensky made a comment saying that he would introduce the leadership of, he didn't name the country in question, but it was directed at Hungary, of an EU country blocking the €90 billion loan for military spending for Ukraine. He would introduce that country's leadership to members of Ukrainian armed forces, which went down like a lead balloon, frankly, in Budapest. Now, this morning, Prime Minister Orbán has already made his first tweet of the day, his first post on X of the day, and this is what he said. He didn't actually specifically mention the seized cars, but we get an idea of what he's thinking.
President Zelensky issues threats while the Hungarian opposition sides with Kyiv and Brussels. Their plan is a pro-Ukraine government that sends Hungary's money to Ukraine and cuts us off from cheap energy. We will defend our nation's interests. Count on it.
Well, it should be said that Peter Magyar, the leader of the opposition in Hungary, the TISA party, has actually defended Orbán, oddly enough, surprisingly, saying that no foreign head of state or head of government should threaten the leader of Hungary. He also renewed his invitation to travel to Ukraine with Orbán to inspect the pipeline. Where we go from here is unknown. I mean, certainly we need to get more confirmation about the location of the 7 state bank employees in Hungary. But this is certainly, an escalation doesn't perhaps quite cover it. This is almost unimaginable to how this situation may have unfolded in recent years, and we need to see how it will unfold today. Back to you.
You said this is a rolling story, so please keep us posted. Meanwhile, appreciate it. Romanian President Nicolae said that as a NATO member, Romania remains protected by the alliance's nuclear umbrella led by the United States. Speaking to TVP World's Pavel Trzaskowski in an exclusive interview, he said it is too early to discuss expanding an independent nuclear deterrent.
First of all, as we are NATO, we are covered by the NATO umbrella, which is given by the United States. So that's clear. If not, I think it's too early to speak. Of course, we have a very good relation with France, a relation which is developing now. Also, there have been some things that have not been solved for last year. It have been solved in these 9 months when I was president. So
there been something specifically?
No, questions on cooperation on different level. Ones have been solved by yes, others by no, but they are solved now. And so the relation between Romania and France, it's expanding, growing. But it's too early to speak technically of nuclear question.
And please stay tuned for the full interview after the news. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said on Thursday that there is no time to waste on decisions related to the Safe Defense program. He urged that the measures be signed before the May deadline, noting that many Polish companies are counting on the funds. He also questioned whether the National Bank holds sufficient gold reserves to support an alternative proposal.
I have 3 proposals. First, please sign the SAFE program immediately. We don't have an hour to waste. Second, we need exact information about the National Bank of Poland's real financial capabilities and about the plan for how this money would be used. Third, Poland's gold, which doesn't belong to Mr. Nawrocki, Mr. Glapiński, or Mr. Tusk, and which is currently scattered across banks in several places around the world, should finally return home. I expect swift decisions and quick answers.
And with that, we conclude this edition of World News. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.